This is Will Rogers from the Storytelling Project at Stanford. Give him a big hand. We're so happy that he's here. Awesome.
Super glad to be here. We'll kick it off with a bit of a guided meditation kind of thing. Close your eyes if you want, or leave them open if you want, whatever. Start by scanning your body for scars. Remember where the scar is, how it happened, and see if there's one scar on your body that you feel good about telling everybody else in the room about. If there's one scar on your body that the story, something about the story you'd be excited to share with everybody else, or something about just like that experience. Now, see if you can think of one. If not, it's okay. We're going to keep moving forward. Now scan all your clothes, and if you forgot what you're wearing, you might want to open your eyes and check yourself out. But think about if there's any one item of clothing that you would want to tell everybody in the room something about, like where you got it, or who gave it to you, or what it means whenever you look at it. Think of any one item of clothing that you want to tell everybody else about. And then we'll do one more. Scan your backpack. Don't look inside it, but think about everything inside your backpack. And think if there's one thing in your whole backpack that when you imagine yourself holding it up and showing it to everybody else in the room, you feel good. There's something that feels good about that imagined version of yourself holding up that item and saying, this is, and then whatever that item is. Okay, open your eyes. We're gonna start off with these introductions, and I'd love to know your names, and choose one of the three items, if you were able to think of three. Maybe you thought of only one, maybe you thought of two, but hopefully everyone's got at least one that you feel okay about sharing. If not, just say your name. My name's Will, and as Alyssa said, I'm with Stanford Storytelling Project. And the one thing that I feel really good about sharing is these shoes. I have had at least 7 pairs of Sambas by this point in my life. I've had them since I was like 12 years old probably, and around 4 years ago I started putting white shoelaces on instead of the black shoelaces, and I really like the way they look compared to the black shoelace Sambas.
I am Pablo. I have Darth Vader dress socks on right now, which I got from my sister. She always gets me cool dress socks. I like wearing fun dress socks. I like R2-D2, Captain America, but Darth Vader is the one for today.
I'm Sarah, and this is a ring that my mom gave me for my high school graduation. She asked, like, she basically told me I could pick any piece of jewelry. And I told her I wanted a ring because I would never take it off, and it's always there as a reminder of my family and where I came from.
And Sarah with an H or no H?
With an H.
My name's Anjali, and I have a scar on my leg. I can't show you guys because I'm wearing pants, but it was last year at the end of spring quarter. I finished my last final, and they turned on the fountains, so I decided to go fountain hopping. And there was a fountain in front of green, and the water was filthy, so I couldn't see anything under the surface of the water. And I ran into one of the light lamp things that were poking up, and I had to get 4 stitches. So.
A-N-J-A-L-I?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Yusuf, Y-U-S-E-F. I bought this watch this summer simply because the sales lady told me that, like, it's made for me.
She probably, like, looked you in the eyes and was like, yeah.
And I bought it. But I like it a lot, so it's cool.
Hi, my name's Natasha, and I have a pretty massive set of scars on one of my shins. And it was summer after graduation from high school. I was on a Euro trip with a bunch of my friends, and my friends decided to go take a train in the Alps, and I decided to go mountain biking with these 3 guys that were in their 20s that I literally met the night before. And so I went mountain biking. We tried biking up the mountain, and it was so hard. So we took 2 trains up, then started biking down, but couldn't find a bike path down. So we went down like foot hiking path on bikes. So that involved like walking across a plank of wood with a little wire here and like a massive cliff on the side, carrying your bike in one hand. And along the way, I completely wiped out and just cut up my entire shin. Everyone had a massive fall, but it was really fun, and I told my parents about it, and then proceeded not to talk to them for the rest of my Euro trip because they got so mad at me for doing something so dangerous and never been mountain biking and going with 3 random dudes that I didn't know. So, and I'm just scarred to remember that. Yeah.
I'll share my shoes. So they're actually Crocs, and I've been wearing Crocs since I was like a small boy, kind of like Comic Sans MS, which I used to use in high school. And I was like, stop wearing Crocs. So when I got to college, my brother, who was also here, was like, you're wearing Crocs still, so he got me these shoes.
But those are also Crocs?
Yes, they're just not, they're like Crocs in disguise.
And what's your name?
Oh, I'm Sean, S-H-A-U-N.
S-H-A-U-N, and Natasha, N-A-T-A-S-H-A?
Yeah.
Cool.
Alright, my name is Greg, and I'm also going to be talking about my shoes. I get a lot of interesting comments about these. They have the other pair of shoes that have 5 toes. Now, there have actually been a lot of lawsuits against this company because originally when they were selling them, they were talking about all the health benefits that they have for like your stride and running. I didn't buy them for that. I just like wearing them. The first time I wore them, I ran maybe like 2 miles, and I was usually running. I had was running like 5 miles every other day in high school, so I was used to running. But once I ran in these for 2 miles, I was basically falling downstairs because my calves wouldn't hold me up anymore. I would actually lean on the guardrails to go downstairs for the next 2 weeks, and that was pretty fun. But I got used to it.
I love how a lot of people are like gesturing, like we got the bike over the shoulder and the wire, and then we got the like leaning on the guardrail so that we can all like really imagine you doing these things.
So they're bad? Are the shoes bad?
No, they just don't have all the health benefits that they do.
I'm Bruce, and I'm going to talk about a scar that I have on the back of my head underneath all my hair. And when I think it was 2 or 3, we were having a birthday party at my house, and we were playing hide and seek. And so I thought it would be a good idea to go into my parents' room and then bounce on the bed, which turned out to be not such a great idea when I promptly fell on the floor and hit my head on the wall. So I got taken to the hospital, got 5 stitches in the back of my head, and I distinctly remember lying there while they were like doing the stitches, like my dad in front of me saying like count with me to distract me, and so we were counting from like 1 to 10 over and over again.
Count with me.
Yeah, my name is Luigi, and I want to show you my belt. This is my belt that I wore today. It's actually my father's belt, because every time I leave to come back to Stanford, to go abroad, I'm always missing one piece of clothing. Like I didn't have a belt, so I said, Dad, I don't have a belt, and he always gives me like one of his clothes. But both my dad and I don't really like belts. So he has this very simple belt. It's nothing too fancy, and it's the only belt I own, actually. And so it just reminds me of my father, and like I get to see him only 2-3 times a year for prolonged periods. So like I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, when I'm missing home, I just look at my belt and then remember my dad, and it's great.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and these are music cables, and I really like music, so that's what I'm sharing. And one thing that's really cool about this cable is that you connect it to any headphones you want, and it lets you have the pause and volume buttons on whatever headphones you have, whether or not they're made by Apple.
I took this out of my backpack, and it has my license in it, my driver's license, and I passed on my first try, so that was good. And at home I drive like a little Volkswagen Cabrio car, and it's like the Barbie car kind of, like it's just really small, and it like fits my personality perfectly, and I'm like the only one who has it in the whole town, so like every time I drive by the school and stuff, people know it's me, so.
What does it look like? A Volkswagen Caddy?
It's like really small car, like 2-door. Mine it has like the convertible top, so it's like soft top. It's a kind of like a California car. I'm from the East Coast, but it's more of a California car than it is a New York car. But
And your name is Sid?
Sydney.
SYD?
yeah,
SYD.
SYD.
So my name's Ryan. Hi, you guys know me. So I have a small scar on my chin that you can't see because of all this chin hair. This story, back when it was like 3 or 4. I had gotten out of the shower, and for whatever reason, my dad wrapped me in a towel, but like with my arms like this. And being the awesome kid that I was, I ran into the laundry room, which has tile floors, and slipped and fell forward. And I was wrapped like a burrito. And so yeah, I split my chin open, and I think it was like 4 or 5 stitches. So yeah.
I can really like see you like running with your little mummified arms next to your torso. Alyssa?
Maybe I'll share my scar story too.
Yeah.
So when my youngest brother was getting married, they chose these dresses that were like really low cut in the front and the back. And not only did I have 3 tones on tan, which was annoying to the bride, but I also had to get an operation on my back for the dress. And so I thought, oh, this is really bad because I'm going to go to this wedding and have this big scar on my back. But it ended up being the best conversation starter ever because people would kind of look at it and be like, where'd you get that scar? My best friend stabbed me in the back. So that would be my story.
But where did this, it was from some kind of surgery?
Yeah.
My name's Alex. I'll talk about a scar that's on my hand right here. You guys probably can't see it there. I got it when I think I was like 10. I was camping in Point Reyes with my family pretty close to here. I just had my new Swiss Army knife that I got for my 10th birthday. I was whittling sticks, making them into sharper sticks and stuff like that. And I didn't heed the warning not to cut toward myself with the knife, which seems common sense, but I did it, slashed myself, tried to hide it, realized how deep it was, and then we thought like maybe we need to go home. But very luckily, a family friend who just happened to be an ER surgeon walked up the trail at the same moment and patched me up.
Wow. Miracle angel. That's great. So from this we can go, so it's really good to know y'all, first of all. Really good to hear your names and hear your voices. And to learn a little bit about the stories that you're carrying around with yourselves. Now that when I look around the room, I can like identify you a little bit with this window that you've given everybody here into your own life and the stories that you're carrying around with you all the time. The kind of stories that Alyssa was telling me that y'all are thinking about a lot are these kinds of stories that can kind of get into other people's lives and help them understand you and understand the universe a little bit better. And I rewatched the Steve Jobs commencement speech in preparation for this. And I'm really struck by one thing that he said about how you can't always know what events, like how they're going to line up, but when you turn around and look back, it makes sense. You can see the path much more clearly after you've gotten somewhere and can look back. And so we're going to do an exercise that's loosely based on that today. You've probably seen this before. This is Freytag's pyramid stories. You start off in a place where things are basically normal. You establish the setting. Maybe you're out adventuring around Europe with some friends and they want to go hang out with you, and then there's this word but. Instead, I do something else. And this but is a moment where the listener leans forward and is like, wait, there's an inversion of expectation here, something's different. But instead I went on another adventure with these 3 guys that I met the previous night. And that will send you off on this place where there's going to be increasing tension, and the tension's going to ramp up all the way until a moment of climax, at which point the storyteller falls and injures herself, and then injures her own relationship with her parents. and then ever since then, after that, the storyteller doesn't anymore do, what is it that you didn't do? You didn't talk to your parents anymore or something like
Just
that.
for the remainder of the Euro trip.
Yeah, just for the
Just
remainder.
of the trip.
Yeah. This moment here, this is the place where we have the opportunity to do what we at Stanford are so well trained to do, which is to talk about ideas and ideals. Everything else up here was experiences, and I can draw over here if it's a little bit easier. So a lot of what we're trained to do here is to talk about ideas and to convince other people of our arguments and why they matter. And this word why is very crucial. It's all about causality and the because, and this is connected to this. Whereas with a story, what you really want to emphasize is experiences. Nobody's going to listen to your ideas. I'll just put sparks over here around the word ideas. Nobody's going to want to listen to your ideas if you can't take them on a little bit of a journey that shows to them where the idea came from. So it's not about why this is important, but it's about where it is that you learned this particular idea, and you learned it through experiences. I always love to do it with a hand. So we've got sight, smell. What are the others?
Taste.
Taste. Hearing. Touch. Yeah, and there's more than just these, but these are really good to start with. If you pack your story with experiences, then your listener will automatically go straight to those experiences and start the sections of their brain that are involved in grabbing a handrail to support yourself because you're so sore walking up the stairs. Though if somebody's just describing those things and even showing you the motions, the gestures themselves go right into your brain and start mimicking those very neural networks, even though you're just sitting there. And this is happening when you're watching movies, it's happening when you're reading stories or listening to stories. And so you want to take these experiences and allow people to travel with you through your own life story. Let's go over here now. Through these, so funny we've got these screens, so handy, right? So then you let them travel with you on your journey of experience, and then when you get to the top, then at this point, if they've stayed with you the whole way, you've earned their attention well enough to where you can give them some kind of idea here, and it'll sink in a new way than if you were to just start with the idea. When you come at someone with an idea, oftentimes they get defensive right away. And I'm thinking specifically, what's the guy's name whose face showed up in a couple of the
Simon Sinek.
Yeah, what did it say it again?
Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. I thought people were saying cynic, and I was like, surely his last name is not Cynic. But yeah, you pronounce it cynic. So he was saying that a lot of people will start off presentations with their credentials, the why they're important, the why they should listen. But really, we tune out. But instead, if you tell someone a story about your own life, then people will be more likely to go with you on the journey of whatever it is that you want to tell them. At this point, let's check time first. 4:48. We're doing great. Everybody get out a pen and paper. Here's these pads of paper for anybody who needs it. I got 5, even though we only needed 4. You can use a computer if you need to. Just prevent yourself from getting distracted to the best of your ability. It's going to be easier to prevent yourself from getting distracted if you're working on pen and paper compared to a computer. Any questions, by the way? I'm moving pretty fast. Okay. The one thing that I didn't build in here with experiences and ideas is feelings, which are they kind of serve as a big link between these experiences and ideas. So I'll just put feelings down here because feelings are part of how we choose what to experience next, and part of how we make meaning out out of what it is that we experience. And it'll be good to not inject, but it'll be good to just be conscious of the feelings that come up when you start to think about your story that you want to tell. One of the things that I've done these last couple years is develop a game called the True Story Game. It's with a podcast that I helped produce called True Story Podcast, where it's kind of like The Moth, but much more casual among friends. People telling true stories from their own lives.
The what, sorry?
True Story Podcast.
Is that The Moth?
Oh yeah, have y'all heard of The Moth? Do y'all know what that is? The Moth is this way of storytelling where someone will stand up on a stage and share a true story from their own life. Examples would be like, what's a story that I heard recently on The Moth? A woman who was assaulted, she was hit to the ground, and then she's on a street, and there's all these people who are walking by her, and she's like trying to get help, but nobody wants to help her because they think that she's like asking for money or something like that, when really what happened was her glasses got knocked off her face, and she can't find one of the lenses to her glasses, and so she just needs help to find a lens, and it turns out she gets this homeless person who says, "I'll help you if you give me and my friends food. You buy us lunch," and she says, "Sure," and he calls like 15 more of his friends, and they're all looking, but then she finds the lens herself and sneaks away and makes it to the hospital, but by this time she's hysterical, and the man at the hospital said, when she describes it, she's like, and then he hit me in the head and I lost my glasses, and the man at the hospital says, "I'm so sorry this happened to you. You're going to be okay," or something along those lines, where she realized that she was finally being observed, she was finally being witnessed, and at that point she like settled into herself in a completely new way. So this, I don't know why I told you the whole story, but it's something about stories that where like as soon as you start thinking of it, they just like one thing leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. So we can do that with our own life stories as well. Before I bring these out, one other thing. Let's think about where we're going. I've never done this before. Could go really badly. I think it's going to go great. But let's start by building out some virtues. Two that I heard from earlier today were appreciation, in terms of receiving compliments and talking about yourself. And another one was grit that came out with Winston Churchill. Are there any more, or not are there any more, but what are some other like great values to which you aspire, or something that you believe in? So we're kind of setting storytelling on the side for now. We'll come back to it. It'll become relevant again in a second.
Humility.
Humility, great.
Honesty.
Honesty, great.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Humor.
Confidence. You say confidence? Humor, good.
Courage.
Courage.
Vision.
Vision, good.
Integrity.
Integrity, good. So everybody get out your pen and paper and write down the cheesiest or funniest or pithiest saying that you can about one of these things. Appreciation, grit, humility, honesty, compassion, confidence, humor, courage, vision, integrity. I'll start writing them down. As soon as it sparks you, just write it down. And it doesn't take that much to be original. Like, you don't want to say all you need is love because the Beatles have said it. But if you say, but it doesn't take much to like say like, love is all that there is. I don't know if anybody's ever said that before, but like, it doesn't take that much of a twist to like make a new statement that nobody else has ever said. So I'll start writing these down. As soon as you get one that you like want to write your pithy statement about, go ahead and write it.
So we should be writing
Yeah, go ahead and start. Just like write something super cheesy. Like what you would see on your like 5th grade coach's wall. Your like PE coach in 5th grade. That level. Confidence. Humor. Why is humor important? Just tell me. Tell me why it's important to you. Courage. Ooh, my handwriting's getting worse and worse, but hopefully nobody's looking. And you can choose one that's not on this list too.
Does that do like a good thing?
It's gotta be really bad.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the worse the better.
I have a bad one.
I got it.
Yeah, don't share it yet. Hide it.
Okay.
It's your secret for now. Good. Yeah, and you can, so the nice thing about encouraging really like shitty versions of this is that it'll get something on the page at all, and then you can always upscale it from there. It's so much easier, so much easier to revise something than it is to create something. And so it's just about like putting something out there that's never been said before, and then you get to like make it better and better and better. And then you'll impress yourself by how good it becomes. Okay, almost everybody got something down? Hopefully, yeah. I see some nods. Some pencils still moving. You can keep your pencil moving while we move on to the next thing. Go back to the little meditation thing that we did earlier now, and think about the story that you told or the thing that you were going to share about. And what I want you to do is to, and like I said, I've never done this before, it could go really badly, but I think it's going to go well. Tell a story from your own life that weaves in this element of the thing that you told us about earlier. And build in as many tangible experiences as possible. So really paint the picture. What does the place look like? What does it smell like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it light? Is it dark? Are you inside? Are you outside? Really take us there and take us through this journey of experience in which things are somewhat normal, and then, something's a little bit off, and then tension builds, till some kind of climax, at which point then you deliver the message. This sentence that you've just written down, that's what you're working towards. That's what you're going to build towards. And we'll all be surprised by how once you've taken someone on a journey of experience, however mundane the journey of experience, once you've taken somebody on a journey of experience, that's when the listener's brain is so receptive to this kind of universal knowledge. It's just a miracle how it works. So, does this make sense? Alyssa, I was going to volunteer Alyssa to demo it with me. Mm-hmm. Does that sound okay to you?
Sure.
Okay. So, do you want to do the scar story again, or an item of clothing, or something in your backpack?
What do you want?
Well,
Pablo's a good one.
Pablo's got a, you want to demo with me?
A demo with you? How do you do it collaboratively?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the story you've got in mind?
I'm actually gonna switch it up to what I was initially gonna share with what I had.
Yeah. What were you initially gonna share?
I saw Alex had it, so I had more confidence. I have a knife on me.
You have a knife, okay. Tell me the story of the knife.
So, similar to Alex, when I was a kid, I always thought that like one of the things that every man was supposed to have was a knife. Right? And when I got my first, when you get a Swiss Army knife, it comes with a baby version of it as well. Mm-hmm. And my dad gave me the baby version when he got his big one. And I felt so powerful as like a 10, 11-year-old with that baby one. But the rule was I had to clean it. It was pretty filthy. Mm-hmm. And I slipped myself. But anyways,
What was it filthy with?
It was like when you have pennies for a long time, they have that weird blue gunk on it. I had that gunk on the blade, which I had no idea how it got there, but I was cleaning it. but I think it's interesting because I didn't want to share that I
Do you
had
remember what you were using to clean
my hands.
just like rubbing
rubbing
your
it
skin
off.
against the
I was going
knife.
away from the blade.
Yeah.
And rubbing down the way you would clean with a sponge and a kitchen knife.
Okay.
And
you're like in your kitchen or
I'm
where?
in the bathroom.
You're in the
actually.
bathroom. Is it a downstairs bathroom or upstairs bathroom?
It's just like my parents' bathroom actually. We live in a one-story house.
Were you sitting on the toilet?
No.
Okay.
I was not.
You're standing up
Standing over the sink, just cleaning it.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
You'll notice while like the picture suddenly comes to life a little bit more. Now he's in a bathroom. Oh, he's leaning over the sink. He's like scraping blue stuff off with his hand. Like it's a different experience listening to all of these details than it is just listening to say this one sentence version, which is I was cleaning the knife. You know, like you want to really be able to see it. It's more fun to be able to really see it. Okay, keep us going.
Oh, so like when I got here and you told us to think of like one item that you have on you that you'd like to share, like why is it important to you? I was like, I should say this, and then I was a little hesitant because we're at Stanford and most people were like really big on like no weapons, no fighting, pacifism, yay, and I was like, shoot, they're probably gonna think I'm like crazy, like violent or something, or just pull out a knife, like, hey, by the way, we're in class and I have a knife. So I decided to hide it, which was because I thought that this would be the best way to ensure people thought I was still this normal person. For some reason, a knife may make you a very bad person. I'm not going to tell you the real reason why I have this knife, and only to make this, I would tell you if you want to know, just ask me, but just to make this line powerful, which is if people were honest, they'd have no friends.
Ooh, if people were honest, they would have no friends. Wow. All right.
We went from cleaning a knife to
Now
wow.
it's an actual knife used for.
Well, so let that inspire you to go forward and take what it is, and you can take a different one now if you want to work on a different story. You don't have to work on the story that is your scar or your item of clothing. Is there any, how do I want to guide this? I just want to make sure everyone has a story that they feel good about telling. And the reason I'm holding these cards in my hands is because that's what these are good for in terms of a tool, is they help spark memories from your own life of stories that you feel good about sharing with the people that you're in the room with. And so I can also read one of these cards, but I just don't want to like muddy up the waters. Is there anybody in here who doesn't have a story from your own life that you feel good about writing on the page?
Could I
Please.
ask that?
Yeah.
If, we all have so many stories from our lives.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've admired in the leaders is how they tell stories that go to a message, like you're saying, about their own, what brings them and makes them the kind of leader that we admire and therefore chose to study. So if it's okay, like Thursday's class is a chance for you to share a story from your life or from this class, the highs and lows, the most memorable moment, the breakthrough. Put it as a story though, not like, well, I was working, not a fact, not an idea, it's not an argument, it's not an academic thesis. It's a story about your learning disorder or the kind of leader you are or how you're a leader now versus earlier when you were leading the Boy Scouts or whatever it might be. So that might be a way to frame it for yourself, if you like. Because we haven't talked in here about what kind of leader you are or your story or vision of your own personal leadership. And that's what we're going to do on Thursday, if that works.
Yeah, so tell us a story of your own leadership experience. A time when you were leading at least one other person, or even a time when you're just leading yourself and need to find courage within yourself, or vision within yourself, or humor, or confidence, or compassion within yourself, in order to move forward. And, ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, how much time do we have? How are we on time?
16 minutes.
We got 16 minutes. You'll surprise yourself by how much you can pull out in these 16 minutes. Start putting the pen to the page. I'm also going to read a couple words here, just in case these help trigger any memories. The words here are big city. Big city.
Big what?
Big city. The big city. Dwarfed by skyscrapers, 100 different cultures merged, cafes, theaters, parks, overflowing garbage cans. The reason I read this is just to help spark memories in your own life that you feel good about sharing.
So we're writing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can write it in whatever way you want, outline format, bullet points, just the random words.
And so it doesn't have to go back to like the thing that we wrote? Or
Ideally, you want to build yourself all the way to
Okay.
this, to where this is this contextually makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the sentences too.
The way Steve Jobs did it.
Yeah,
At the end.
builds
Yeah.
to your sentence. Yeah.
Oh, senses.
Oh, the senses, yes. So sights, smells, tastes, feelings. Yeah, take us to the bathroom where you're cleaning the blue stuff off the tiny knife. You know, all of those little details will help the story come alive.
Then you'll be done.
Okay, where's your scar, Alex? Where's your scar? I have mine
Like
right
your
here.
own.
Right here.
It's even your own.
Oh shoot.
I was in the
Come here.
exact same thing you were when I was about to tell a story. I won't pull it now.
Do you have one with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got one with me too. This is the knife side of the room. Anybody else have a knife? Big city, a story from your own life that you feel good about sharing, something to do with leadership. And if you can, build yourself all the way to that cheesy sentence you wrote earlier. about 10 minutes left in all of class, so see if you can, in the next couple minutes, bring what you're writing to a close so that you can share with at least one other person before we go. Start preparing yourself to share something that what you've got with at least one other person. And if anybody's having trouble, just go back to this. Telling your own life story is one of the simplest and most difficult challenges you'll ever face. You were there, you know everything that was there, but it's so hard to actually form it into a story. A lot of times, I think the stories that are the most, a lot of us will have impulses to try to tell stories where we're not satisfied with the ending, and so we want to retell the story so that there can be a different ending. And for the sake of ease of telling a story, or telling a story that's a gift to everybody else rather than helping you with your own problems, we've all got ours, try and think of a story that the ending has already happened, and the ending is something that you feel good about. Our brains have a way of forgetting about things that are already done and just only fixating on things that are we're still working on. Because every single one of us is always in the middle of something that we're still working on, and that takes all of our attention. But when we do want to share a story with other people, it's good to find something where there has been some sort of resolution already, so that you can give them that gift of telling them how it was that you came to that resolution. Okay. At this point, split off, pair off this way, this way, this way, this way. Bruce, two y'all, and just briefly share with the other person what it was that you wrote down.
So what's your story?
You go
And they're all wondering, why are you saying that's where I I walked on the field like
Alright, bring it back together. Alyssa and I were just talking, and I did the exact same thing. Sometimes you'll think of a story that you're like, oh yeah, I really want to tell this story. And then as you start to tell it, what's not resolved about that story becomes more and more and more and more evident, and you think like, wow, I need to like go back and make a couple phone calls. You know, and if you notice that that's happening, there are a couple different things you can do. One is before you leave the page, a couple things that you can do, because you don't want to just get totally distracted to where you're not actually completing something that feels good. One thing you can do is presume that you've already got everything that you need, and that you don't need to make any phone calls, and that you've already got the story in there, and then you can find it in there. It's there. Sometimes it's better, though, to make a little list for yourself to make the phone calls later, and choose a different story to tell, especially in settings like this. You just find a story where as you tell it, you have a really clear vision in your head of where it went, where that resolution was, And if it's not really clear what you're building towards, really clear to yourself, then it can be very hard and it gets very murky very quickly to try to tell that story. Thanks for reminding me. We have just enough time for one person to give actually no, it's 5:20 already.
An abbreviated version, huh?
Yeah, let's do a super, can we have an abbreviated version of somebody's part? Well, Alex, are you game to give an abbreviated version of yours?
Yeah,
Or
should I
it's,
do that?
yeah, or it's 5:20, I know some people.
Yeah, it
go.
sure is 5:20.
Maybe any reflections on this?
Yeah, I'm with you, yeah. We'd like to have stories, but I think can anybody share any reflections on how this went? Things you appreciated or things you wish you see more of?
I do appreciate the smell of trees outside our classroom.
And I too. Anybody want to share their cheesy sentence? Yeah.
Confidence is about being a gorilla.
Ooh, good.
The truth will set you free.
Great.
Courage is the best kind of stupidity.
Ooh, that's great. Were you able, when you told your story, did you find that you were able to build up to that line?
Yeah, I had a different story from the same trip, day one.
Yeah. And did the story land? Did the line land at the end?
Hers worked really well, yeah.
Yeah.
It all goes up.
Great.
So did ours.
Did anybody else have that experience where the last line, the cheesy line, landed and you're like, wow, it all makes sense? Somebody yes. Okay, not quite. Okay, good. Good for me to know. No, over here.
For me.
Not for you telling the story or
For me
listening?
telling the story, yeah.
And then for you listening, Bruce, did you also have that not quite landing?
That made sense, but I don't know. At the ending it was a good tie up, but.
Okay. Thank y'all so much for your attention.
Thank you, Will. That was excellent. If you want to take one of these, Simon, my 1 minute closer. We've been talking so much about story all quarter and how that is so predominant in many of the leaders, and what a gift to hear from Will, who has been working with Storytelling Project, is his own incredible storyteller, about some of the techniques we can use. And yeah, this was an accelerated version. But I think one thing I'm going to take away is, as you build your story, you want the thing at the end to fit. And the Steve Jobs line at the end is so powerful. You can combine the two. So you can work from either end, maybe.
Yeah.
But so for next time, you're going to be sharing your stories from this class this quarter. Remember doxa, like Tyler did with the smell of trees, and then have a message for all of us. Okay, so it's not a heavy, high-stakes assignment. It's really just a chance for you finally to tell a story about yourself, and for us to applaud you for who you are, not just your research. So thank you again, Will. And maybe if anyone has questions, they can email you or something.
Yeah, and I'm here now if you want to come over here. Yeah, right here.
Discord, yeah. So here are the cover summary. I mean, so you can combine it with something else, like you could share that story. And then you could say also because you learned this about
What is doxa?
Oh god. I haven't continued. Are you doing a website for your thing or something?
What the community believes. So we as a society don't believe abortion, for example.
Something multimedia, I'm still not sure exactly.
Can you send me a link?
Yeah.
So for baseball, I have red cleats.
Yeah, you didn't want to say.
Red.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Do you have a preferred way you want to do citations?